Well, even if you've saved a lot of money, have a large retirement portfolio, chances are you don't know exactly what's in it or how all this stuff works.
So we are going to continue our 5-part educational series with Omaha's retirement strategist, Darrell Bryant.
We are. Each week, Darrell's going to highlight one element of financial planning, break it down in a simple, straightforward way. Today's lesson: mutual funds versus index funds.
Darrell is one of the area's leading financial advisors. He hosts a weekly retirement radio show in Omaha that airs Saturday mornings on 1110 KFAB, and he helps many folks in Omaha plan for retirement.
Darrell, welcome back.
Good morning.
Welcome
Step
back.
into the classroom here.
Yeah, we're doing this a little differently
Call
today.
me Professor Darrell today.
Professor Darrell.
I dig it.
We're going to learn about mutual funds versus index funds today. I'm telling you, you viewers out there, you may have a lot of investment experience, but what we find is a lot of people don't have a lot of expertise.
Yeah.
And when you see this, you are probably going to say, you have got to be kidding me. Why hasn't anybody ever told me this before?
Well, so let's describe this for us.
Yeah.
What's the difference between
Okay,
those,
so a
index and
mutual fund. Let's start with a mutual fund, and then I'm going to pivot into. So I'm kind of set up here. I'm going to start with a mutual fund, and then I'm going to pivot into index fund. So a mutual fund is nothing more than this box of stuff. It's a box of stuff. It's a box of stocks, or it's a box of bonds. In this case, we're going to call it a box of large cap domestics. So what does that even mean? Large cap domestics. So this would be, all that means is big old U.S. companies. Okay, big cap meaning capitalization. Big old U.S. companies, right? So here's the thing: when you send your $100,000 to this mutual fund, there's a money manager, okay, and he is happy to receive your money, and he's going to charge you about 1% per year to manage that mutual fund. 1% per year, or about $1,000 per year per $100,000. So if you have 10 of these, if you have $1 million, that's $10,000 per year. So it gets a little on the price.
That adds up.
It adds up in a hurry. He also probably has a few little mini-me's up here that's helping him do his job. So he might be charging you 0.85 or 1.2. Let's just call it 1%. Well, who really cares how much he's charging you if he's making you tons of money? Okay, if he's making you tons of money, who cares what he's charging you? But the question is, how do we know how good he is? Okay, do we know that this guy's any good? How does he do against other guys in his line of business?
Can you investigate that up front?
You can. You can certainly compare him with other money managers of his type. But then you get to thinking, wait a second, I've heard of index funds, I've heard of them at work, I hear about them around the water cooler, etc. What the heck is an index fund? Well, an index fund is, well, let's back up here. The way we're going to judge this guy, the benchmark that we're going to use is we're going to put him up against an index. Okay, now you know indexes out there, you just haven't connected the dots. There's the Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ, Barclays, okay? The index that we're going to put this guy up against, Mike, is we're going to put him up against the S&P 500. Okay. What the heck is the S&P 500? It is nothing more than 500 companies that Standard & Poor's have decided to put in this big old giant barrel in order to measure the market, to report to you how the market is doing. So they're just doing math all day, and they're just measuring how this big old barrel is moving along. Okay.
Are they the top 500 companies, or are they just a mixture in different industries?
It's to represent a cross section of industry, and they're weighted according to capitalization and so forth. Okay. Gotcha. More on that some other time. Don't mess with me, Mike.
I am not. I'm trying.
So here's the thing, is you get to thinking, wait a second, 500 companies down here, this guy up here is probably managing about 60 to 80 what we call positions. So in his fund, you're going to see Walmart, GE, GM, et cetera, right? Big old U.S. companies. This is also full of very large U.S. companies, okay? His job is to beat the index. It's to beat his correlating index. We're not going to put him up against a small cap index or an international index. We're going to put him up against large cap domestics. So here's the thing. He's charging you about 1%. You start to thinking, I've heard of index funds, right? Could I just take my $100,000 and send it down here and just own this entire index? And the answer is yes, you could send your $100,000 down here. You could buy yourself an S&P 500 index fund, which does nothing more than mirrors this index, okay? Yeah. It's unmanaged, meaning this guy goes away and his related fee.
Right.
Here's the thing. You can own this down here for about 0.2%, whereas you're paying him 1%.
So it's cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper.
Right.
It's 1/4, 1/5 the cost. But here's the kicker. We're not even getting started. The thing is this. These guys who are pitted against their correlating index only beat their respective index about 20% of the time. In other words, from 2005 to 2015, these guys only beat their correlating index about 20% of the time. So aren't we paying extra for an 80% failure rate if we could just come down here and own an index?
Seems like less risk down there.
Well, it's not measurably less risk. I wouldn't say it's not like elimination of risk, but certainly 500 is a bigger number than 60 to 80.
Sure.
Okay, this guy's a stock picker. That's what he does. He's trying to outsmart the market, his respective market. Okay, so why would you do this? You put your portfolio together. You can still have the same portfolio, but rather than having mutual fund, fill it up with index fund, index fund, index fund, index fund. You'll cut your costs by 3/4. And you'll have a much higher probability of success. You're paying extra here for an 80%, the way I say it, an 80% failure rate. Okay, call the office, we'll show you how to do it.
I got to tell you, if you were my econ professor, maybe I wouldn't have fallen asleep in class.
Hey, well, that's only because I had to stuff
That
a
was
bunch of
good. That was
information
good. I
in
learned a
6
lot.
minutes.
I know. I was standing here like, oh wow, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's
No,
fantastic.
It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Once you just
put it down in
kind of-
layman's terms, right? Well, people close to retirement might be looking for safer options. So that brings us to next week when Darrell will be tackling safe money options and why they are absolutely critical for anyone who is 5 to 10 years away from retirement.
If you're in that category and would like to speak with Darrell and his team personally about your investments, qualified viewers can set up a complimentary private wealth review by calling 402-932-2141, or you can visit dbryant.retirementstrategies.com.
Great information. Excited for next week to see what we learn then.
Glad to be here.
Thank
And
you,
these guys
Professor
only write
Darrell.
20% of the time they only beat the index.
That's right, and these index funds are available in your 401ks. Call us, we'll just rearrange your portfolio and use index funds. That's all we do is index funds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheaper.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.